Hey everybody, welcome to week 7 of Unplugged Spiritual Discipline, connecting with God in an overconnected world. Is it 90 degrees outside? Yes. Is it 20 degrees in my office right now? You bet. That's why I'm wearing a jacket. My first paycheck came from a place where it was my job to pack pills for old people. It sounds weird when I tell people that my first job was a actual pharmaceutical technician and I had to go through training on how to use a fire extinguisher in case medicine ever exploded, but the reality is I had a really weird first job. Also, I was very irresponsible with money because the very first time I got a paycheck, I went and blew it as soon as I got it. I didn't even put it in the bank. I went and cashed it at the grocery store, which means I took my paycheck to the grocery store. I asked them for cold hard cash money and they gave it to me. I then took that money to the guitar store and bought my first acoustic guitar. My mom was really kind of upset with me, going like, Ronald, you just got your first paycheck. You didn't even start a bank account. I'm like, well, Mom, playing guitar is how you get girls. And so the reality is that guitar is still in my closet, so worthwhile investment, maybe? We're gonna talk about the spiritual discipline of giving today, what it looks like to give. Now, let's go start with this. 2 Corinthians 9:7. All right, this is Paul writing to the church of Corinth. He's actually writing them to say, hey, there's a famine going on. And what we need to do as believers all over the place is collect money so that we can take this money to Jerusalem where the famine is happening and we can help people there eat food. Sounds great, right? But Paul also said, you know what, I don't want you to give because you feel like you have to. I want you to give cheerfully, which is 2 Corinthians 9:7. Each one must give as he has decided in his heart, not reluctantly or under compulsion. For God loves a cheerful giver. God loves a cheerful giver. So like we've been doing in spiritual disciplines, we're going to first talk about why we give, and then we're going to talk about how to give and what that might look like. So we'll do that here. What I want us to do is first talk about why we give. Now I said we shouldn't give because we feel like we should, but the reality is, yeah, okay, we should give in obedience to God. God has told us that we should give, but also, think about this. What does the church sell? All right, most businesses make money by selling a product, right? So you go to Walmart and you buy groceries and automotive things and whatever else you buy at Walmart, and that helps Walmart be a business, right? You go to Taco Bell and you buy tacos. Don't at me, okay? And by buying those tacos, you help Taco Bell to be a business. What does the church sell? Nothing. Okay, our church sells like breakfast tacos and coffee and things like that, but the reality is we don't have a product to sell. We have the gospel to give, and it's free. And so what you do is you give in obedience to God so that you can, so that you can bless others. So that you can bless others. When you give to church, when you give to Wayside, you're able to bless others. Remember that really cool middle school retreat we went on a couple months ago before the world went crazy? It was awesome. I had a blast. What you may not know is that some people went on that retreat without having to pay money. Now, it wasn't because that retreat didn't cost anything. The retreat actually costs a lot of money. But when you give to the church, not only do you help take that middle school retreat and make it less expensive, you also help somebody who wants to go on the middle school retreat but can't afford it go. You give to bless others. What's really cool is like underneath my feet, like literally underneath my feet, there is a food pantry that we have here at Wayside that we give to people who are hungry. And we buy that food with the money that you give to Wayside. There's so much that we do here because you give money. Think about it. We support people who are missionaries in countries where it's illegal to share the gospel, but they are there working and supported by Wayside because you give. We have a really sweet middle school room that I cannot wait to get back into because people in the past have given to Wayside. We've taken that money and we've used it to have a great space for you, a middle school student. There's so much that we do. When you give, you're able to bless other people. Do you know when you give money, you actually allow Wayside Chapel to buy toilet paper for the bathrooms? Thank you for everything that you do. It's a big deal. The reality is, like we were talking about, when you give, you have the ability to advance the gospel. And that's what we do here at Wayside. We share the gospel. So when you give money and you invite somebody to church, they have the ability to hear the gospel because of the people who are sharing the gospel with them, like me or Pastor Tim or Pastor Roger. We have a job because you give. Now, we also advance the gospel in other ways too, like mission trips. I'm really bummed that we didn't get to go on our mission trip this year, but on other years when we go on our mission trips, we are able to share the gospel. And that trip doesn't cost as much as it could because people give to Wayside. When you give to Wayside, you help us share the gospel here in San Antonio because of all the places that we partner with in San Antonio to help people hear about Jesus. Just outside my window right over here, I was able to watch this morning people packing food to take to refugees living in apartments here in San Antonio to give them food and then also to share the gospel with them. How great is that? When you give, you are able to help advance the gospel in San Antonio, in Texas, and beyond. It's a huge deal about why you give. So here's what I want us to know. Why do we give? We want to give cheerfully so we can watch God work. Because when we give, God works. It's a huge thing that God takes the money and the resources and the things that we give to Him and He puts it to good use. He puts it to people being able to share the gospel. Now, what's fun about that guitar that I bought with my first paycheck that I totally blew the very first time that I ever got paid for a job is that guitar's actually been to Turkey. I was able to take that guitar to lead worship and play worship for people who had never heard about Jesus before. I was able to also use that same guitar in Turkey to play songs for missionary kids who were living in Turkey but were gathering together for a camp that we got to put on for them. It was awesome. That guitar has actually been around to several different youth groups and ministries and hangouts and have played lots of worship songs on that guitar to advance the gospel. Now what's great is that guitar can also come up here and you can play it because eventually we'll be back in the middle school room again and we can have worship together. It'll be great. But when you give, you allow Wayside to do awesome things. And we want to thank you for that. It's a big deal. So why do we give? We give cheerfully so we can watch God work. Next week we're going to talk about how we give, but thank you guys for hanging out. And next week is also our last week of Spiritual Disciplines Unplugged, connecting with God in an overconnected world. I'll see y'all later.